Hello, and welcome to Show Em The Dore, the only episode where... Not the only episode, the only podcast where...
Do you want to scream again?
No, now we're keeping this stuff, man. Come on.
My bad.
We roll with the punches. Did you hear that? That was good. The only podcast, rather, where I've got something behind this helmet.
Oh.
Is it A, an apple, B, a banana, C, some cherries, or D, a turtle?
Is it fruit themed?
I was going off of the letters of the alphabet.
And you went turtle for
Apple, banana, cherries. Lock in your answer right now.
And the turtle. With that being said, you all were wrong. I'm just kidding. It's B, banana. If you know Willem's tendencies on Show Em The Dore, he has eaten a banana in multiple episodes. So, has it only been one?
Yeah,
You've eaten a banana before multiple episodes.
It's a miracle you keep me on here, man.
With that being said, I'm glad we got the trivia section out of the way. Why did you open that so aggressively? Oh my god.
Did you hear this?
I did. I bet,
an ASMR
I bet
podcast.
they all did too.
I hope to God you did. I'm going to start charging y'all.
It's going to be like, welcome back to Show Em The Dore. Today we're going to be talking about the worst basketball game I've ever seen.
It was abysmal.
You didn't speak into the mic for that one, so I don't think they're going to hear you as well as they
I said it was abysmal.
Yeah, he did say it was abysmal. It was the worst game I've ever seen. You know, we've been talking with a lot of guests, and we are really excited because we're going to have some very special people come in the next couple weeks, but they're getting it cleared with their media team. But so this week, it's just you, me, and Willem, which means we're going to have the most unhinged 40 minutes that there has been in at least 2 weeks.
At least, man.
Minimum 2 weeks.
Yep.
So how do you think we should format this? Because we do have like a couple basketball games to talk about, and like maybe we should also consider talking about baseball before getting entirely unhinged. But what do you want to do?
Here's your new idea. Okay.
New idea. The Willem idea.
What
The
if
idea.
one-
The idea.
The idea. What if we talk about basketball,
Okay.
then baseball?
Baseball.
As it happens, we'll go on our tangents.
As we do.
That is what we do.
That's just what we do anyway.
Exactly.
It's not
I think
new
that's a good
idea.
plan. I don't think we need an agenda for like our weird tangents. You can't force them.
I wasn't saying we were like, it'd be like, all right, so now we're going to
Basketball.
Okay, basketball. The ball of baskets. B-ball. The precursor to the NBA. College basketball.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt played 2 games since our last podcast, though we didn't talk about games before that because we had at Patrick Smith, my man. I saw him on campus today in his Benz. Man is dripped out. Crazy. He's a good guy. Really like smiley dude. I don't know if do you guys like that episode? Comment down below. I feel like Patrick was really, really cool in the sense he was just so good natured. Like,
He was a good guy.
he didn't seem like he got caught up in like the whole, starting for an SEC school kind of thing. And I feel like, a lot of athletes, they're good people. We haven't interviewed somebody that I haven't liked. But they also, they have the confidence of, I am like in the top 1% of athletes in the world, which they are. But Patrick Smith just seems like oh, that's so disgusting.
I'll pick it up.
That's going to be the thumbnail. It's going to be like wherever the banana is in it. But Patrick Smith seemed like a really like down-to-earth, really thankful to be here kind of guy. And I really appreciate that about Patrick. But yeah, basketball. We played Texas A&M before Alabama.
Yep, that was it.
And Texas A&M was like, it was like up and down in the sense of Vanderbilt's play. Because I feel like we have the potential to play like a very top half of the SEC kind of team, which is like a low NCAA tournament team. Mm-hmm. However, we don't play that way consistently.
Yep.
Like Miles Studi had like 7 threes in the game versus Texas A&M. He was going nuts.
But the thing is, he's made probably 12 threes in the past like 4 games before that. He was coming off a very cold streak. So like it's not sustainable play, which is sad because it's not even like really impressive play. We're just like keeping up being kind of competitive in this conference.
Right.
And we can't sustain that.
But it went from, like, we were ahead with Texas A&M for a while, and then we were kind of battling back and forth. And then we got really down towards the end of the game. Like, it was like 18 points or something ridiculous.
Yep.
But then by, like, the last couple minutes, like, we were in the game. Like, we were going crazy in the last, like, in, like, 4 minutes. When it got to 2 minutes, it was, like, a couple-point game. And then I think we got screwed on a couple calls, but it wasn't enough for me to think, like, oh, we should have won that game if it was, like, it wasn't like Kentucky in the NCAA tournament last year.
SEC tournament.
Oh, in the SEC tournament. But it was just, like, it wasn't, like, a disheartening game. It was just like, we're playing Texas A&M. I think we were in Texas A&M, if I remember correctly.
College Station.
In College Station. It was their stupid pink out game. And, like, all love to breast cancer.
I was going to say.
But, like, the pink out games are dumb. I have fully support breast cancer awareness and, like, people who, you know, do breast cancer assistance and stuff.
Who do breast cancer?
Who do breast cancer. No, but you know what I'm saying. Like, people who, like, assist in breast cancer. And I respect leagues for doing that, but I have never seen a pink jersey look good. And definitely not with the garnet. Is it garnet? What is the other color for Texas A&M? It's like that brown. It doesn't look good with pink.
I'd call it it's burgundy.
Is it burgundy? I thought burgundy was more red. Nevertheless,
I'd call it red.
It was an
ugly. The umbrella.
It was an ugly. I think it's more brown than red, but it's an ugly combination that I saw on that game. Like, it was like their numbers were pink. It was just a disgusting uniform combo, and they should feel bad about themselves. If you're gonna put pink in your uniform combo, at least make it a little bit better than that.
Well, their jerseys were white and pink. Those are the only colors. They weren't mixing it with the weird brown. It was
I
just
think they had the brown.
They replaced
though. They did. They had brown on the stripes on the shorts.
I don't believe so.
Either way, it looked terrible. So then do it better. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't the color combo.
Skill issue, maybe.
But it just looked bad. I think it looked like the pink was ironed on. Like, it didn't look like a good jersey.
They just colored that like an hour ago.
They were like, oh, okay, we got the pink crayon, just like outlining. It looked terrible. And I've seen Oregon have some really cool pink jerseys, but man, Texas A&M did a terrible job. That's my rant about breast cancer, evidently.
We at Show Em The Dore are absolutely in sorrow that breast cancer is a thing, and our thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out with anybody that has to deal with that and their family members and everything. We're supportive of the fight and the research and all of the donation and all of the efforts to help that. And we have no bad words to say about
the actual thing?
The efforts and
Absolutely
things.
not.
Chris just gets caught up in
the ugly jerseys.
The jerseys, and I don't want to mistake that for any sort of...
The NFL does a good job. They give them, like, pink cleats. It looks good. It's a nice little highlight mark. But, like, oh my God.
I didn't think it was bad at all.
You didn't?
Nope. I didn't have any issue with it.
You guys got to look it up. I'm not going to edit in a picture.
It's up to you.
I theoretically could edit in a picture
He
over
doesn't know
this.
how.
No, I do. Because I did it with when I cut in the last episode.
He's lying.
I'm not lying. I promise I'm not lying. But with that being said, I'm not going to edit in a picture, but they were terrible.
If you say so, man. But anyways, how'd that game end, Chris?
We lost.
Yeah, but it
wasn't like a terrible
and
loss.
they've been... Texas A&M's a team that, like, they win some.
They're like...
Weirdly enough.
I think they're like the last four in.
Yeah.
Which is not terrible.
It'd be a nice little win to have, you know.
It definitely
wouldn't be anything impressive, but it's a nice win.
Yeah.
Alas. So then we move on. And we're coming back and better than ever in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Coming off this, struggle game, we're wanting to fire and do well. Bear in mind that the legend that is Liam Robbins is deceased. May he rest in peace. And Lidor. And so we're looking not great going into the game. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, we turn on the TV, and who is in uniform?
Liam.
But Liam Robbins.
And
who was out for 17 days.
I was genuinely hopeful that we would win this game at the start because I saw Liam dress.
He was listed as 4 to 6 weeks when he got hurt. 17 days is 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's insane.
Definitely.
It's borderline questionable, but he was out there. Lord knows.
And he was playing all right.
Mm-hmm, he was playing. He was dribbling the ball, bleeding from the eye.
Going 0 for 5.
to start the game. Happens to all.
Yeah, he was rusty. That game was the worst basketball game I've ever watched in my whole life. It was atrocious. Yeah?
Yeah.
What was that?
I had an intramural basketball game yesterday. I forgot about that. We're in the Tuesday league, man. Dang it.
Okay. Where did that come
show up
from?
Well, you said over 5, and I'm like, happens to the best of us. And then I thought it does because I sucked at intramural. And then I'm like, I'm on a team right now for my fraternity. I should probably pay more attention to that. Mm-hmm. And I thought, what day? It's on Tuesdays. Today's Wednesday. I missed a game last night. Yeah. I'm a fool. But I am playing volleyball, and I show up to those games, and I dog out. So, anyways, moving on. I'm sorry. My apologies.
It was the worst basketball game I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was. And I watched WCC basketball.
Yeah. In fairness, that's your team beating up on everybody. It's not you getting beat up by said team. But it was just... You done?
Yep. I just had a yawn. Sorry. I got it out. I'm not getting on again.
No, you're not?
Nope.
Okay. It started off 5-0 run, ball Lewis 3, and then Miles Studi hit like a fade in the post because he now can hit post shots, which I'm very happy about. Lord knows he needs to do more than just shoot threes. But from that point, I think they went on like a 28-point run.
Yeah, it was 28-0.
It was 28-5.
Yeah.
Because we started 5-0. It was...
Well, yes, but they went on a 28-0.
We live tweeted that game. And I started off so hyped because we got 2 consecutive stops to start the game. And then we had 2 consecutive shots. And I was like, oh my God, we're upsetting Alabama. And then it was like very, very soon after, it was 8-5. And then it was 10-5, 13-5, 15-5, 21-5, like 29-10. Like it was just a rough game.
Notice how many of those scores, the difference was 3. Because they made the largest amount of 3-pointers I've ever seen.
It was
legitimately...
They shot like 50
from an Alabama perspective, it was one of the greatest games you could ever play.
Yeah. If you're an Alabama fan, you're like, we're winning the chip after that game.
They're not.
Definitely not.
They're not making it to the Final Four, but...
Sorry, Tennessee is losing to Florida by 6 right now. That's a classic Tennessee mint.
It's 4-10.
After a big win. Okay, so
who did Tennessee? Oh, Kansas.
Texas.
That's it.
So looking at Alabama's box score, right? They shot 41 threes in the game. They made 19 of them. So they almost shot 50% from 3.
Do you know how many threes they average a game?
No.
9. Which is still like top 4 in the nation.
Yeah. What's crazy is you give them their average instead of the amount of threes they made, and you take away 30 points from this team, and we still lost by 30.
It's insane.
Because we lost 101-44. It was the worst game I have ever seen. Their 2-point percentage, they only shot 20 more 2s than 3s, just by the way. And they shot over 50% on 2s as well. Yeah. It was terrible.
I think they dunked the ball like 8 times, too.
Yeah.
It was an all-out, like, we were, like, thoroughly ravaged.
Yeah, it was rough. So they shot the ball 102 times, right?
Yeah.
We shot the ball 94. That's not as much of a deficit as I thought it was gonna be. But oh my gosh, we were 3 for 30 from 3-point land. We were 1 for 1, and then the rest of the night we were 2 for 29. And we shot 25% from the 2-point range, 16 for 64. It was awful. You could tell it was the kind of game that it was going to be because about 3 minutes in, Liam Robbins and Jordan Wright headbutted each other and both had to exit the game and get stitches. Like, it was... it was just the worst thing ever. Tyron Lawrence didn't play because Stack is apparently sending a message to him.
Really?
Yeah. It was... he said that everybody was too happy after the Texas A&M loss.
Oh.
And so that's why we started like Miles Keefe or something like that. I don't even know if it's Keefe maybe.
It's Keefe.
It's Keefe. He apparently, according to Stack, he'd been doing some good things for them defensively in practice. And so he got the start. And he actually did well. Like, I actually had nothing really against... He wasn't doing anything great on offense, but defensively he seemed aight.
Yeah, nobody was doing anything great.
Yeah, like, I don't think... This is not a hate on Miles Keefe, but Tyron Lawrence is a more valuable player to our team. And when you are a team that loses an awful lot, even though I think that for a majority of the time we're more competitive than we look, losing isn't something to, like, be super, super, super torn up about all the time. Mm-hmm. Like, I know that there are, like, everybody is super competitive. I can imagine all of our guys are even more competitive than I can imagine. Mm-hmm. But, you're without, two of your three centers. QMB is playing, and Malik Dia is getting significant minutes, even though he's raw and young. We're churning the lineup, trying to find something that works. And then you're going to be like, you should be more tore up about this loss. Well, we have bigger problems. It's not like we're coming out there full strength, full game plan, and losing by a ton. We made it a competitive game playing like people that we never expected to come off the bench. Emmanuel Ansong started against Alabama. Ansong. I'm so sorry. That's a problem. If I can't pronounce your name right on the first try, I don't want you starting. And, like, no disrespect to Emmanuel Ansong, but if we were all healthy, he shouldn't be starting. And so, it was the first game that, like, really made me think maybe Stackhouse isn't the coach for us. I said that once last year, and then immediately after, he proved me wrong. And so I hope that happens again this year. I hope he proves me so wrong, it's insane. But it just looks like a team that doesn't want to be out there right now. Nobody looked like... We weren't playing team basketball. It was just like a series of 1v1s throughout the entire time. Like, it would be you'd pass the ball at the top of the key, and then he would 1v1 and then shoot up a terrible shot, and then... Or pass it, and then the next guy would 1v1. There was no, like, offensive set. There was... Like, the only person I felt like who was even trying was QMB, but, I mean, QMB isn't that great. Like, he's fine, but he's not... You don't want him to be your starting big-minute center, I don't think. Like, they have really talented bigs at Alabama. And while I love QMB, he's a great guy, and I'm very happy for what he's done to this program, the opportunities that he's getting. He's not going to put up 20 a night, ever. I don't know what his career high is. He's averaging 3 points per game this season. So it was frustrating to watch as a fan. It was frustrating to live tweet coming from the person that did live tweet the entire thing, because there was nothing good to say past the first 30 seconds of the game, past the first 2 minutes of the game. It was just all, man, we're getting beat up. Oh, we're still getting beat up, and Stack won't call a timeout, even though they've gone on a 15-0 run. Like, at some point, you got to take your guys out of the fire a little bit. Do you have anything to add?
Say that last sentence again.
So you got to take him out of the fire a little bit?
Say the sentence before that a little bit. What's the point you're making? I'm sorry.
What?
What's the point you're making?
That when they go on large runs, you need to take timeouts?
Yes.
Were you not listening?
I just lost that last part. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was listening for myself. I just, like, really lost it in the end there. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
But, sorry. It's insane.
This man also slept for like 12 hours yesterday. I don't know. Like, he hasn't yawned all day that I've seen him, and now it's like 4 times this podcast.
I've been sleeping a lot recently, which is weird. So whatever. Yeah. Like Chris said, it's one of the only times where we thought we should fire him. I remember last year, or maybe we should fire him. Last year you did say, "Oh, I doubt his ability," and I was like, no. This year I'm watching that game and I'm like, we've used 1 timeout all game.
A good coach team doesn't lose by 60.
You get 4 timeouts each half. He used 1 in the first half and none in the second. There were times where I'm thinking, okay, they just went on a 12-point run, but there's like 16 minutes and 20 seconds left in the half. You don't call a timeout right here. You just wait for the media timeout. You don't want to waste one. The media timeout comes and goes. There's like 14 minutes left in the half, and they go on another big run. That's when you call a timeout. And he did once at a good time where I'm like, okay, stop this stuff right now. When the crowd gets really into it, when they're like, they got heat checks that they're making a lot of. Like multiple everybody, different people are making a lot. That's when you got to say, okay, stop. Let them cool down just a little bit. Let's change what we're doing and thinking, and then keep going. He did it once.
Yeah.
And then never again. And I'm thinking, okay, in a span of about 30 seconds, they just scored 8 points.
It's time to take a timeout.
Timeout.
At some point, it's just
there's no timeout. Okay, whatever. Now it's like a 20-point run, and I'm like, oh, what? So, like, based on that game alone, fire Stackhouse. If I saw that one game and that was all I based it off of, I want him out of the program. However, I think it is a bigger question than that. I think development-wise, he's doing the guy we didn't expect. I didn't expect Paul Lewis to do as well as he's been doing. I didn't expect Malik Dia to be doing as well as he's doing. There are things like that where it's like, okay, clearly there's good development. Mm-hmm. People are exceeding expectations. That's a success from the coach, I'd say. I think we are at a great disadvantage by having the injuries that we have going on, and Stack has been handling that well. That's good for a coach. But in-game coaching, he's been like maybe questionable. A lot of people get mad at what he does. But I think this is just like the most egregious thing that he's done. I think it's like more than just that. It's a bigger deal. It's recruiting. It's how you build the program. It's how you take a guy like Tyron Lawrence, who wasn't that much 2 years ago, who wasn't that much last year, and is now putting up 18 a game in the last 4 games. Mm-hmm. That looks good on Jerry Stackhouse, you know. He has his good things. He's not a terrible coach. It's just in-game coaching, he makes some questionable decisions sometimes, and then yesterday was just all a questionable decision. And it's confusing to me because I know he knows what he's doing because he's done it in other games. Yeah. So it is just a little bit like, why?
I don't understand.
I don't get it.
And like, you know, I think that you can testify to the development of some young guys, but you can also say, why is Jordan Wright not playing better? You know, like, what is up with his development? Because I would argue he played better last year.
Yeah, I would too.
I would argue Miles Studi he's gone on some hot streaks, but like, I don't think he's like an exceptionally better player than he was last year. I think QMB even played better last year.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's hard because you look at Stackhouse and you're like, man, I am not impressed by our record ever that he's been the coach. But then you're also like, we have a lot of young guys that are really talented and could do good things. And if we fire Stackhouse, are they going to leave? And is that worth giving him more time? And I don't know. I can't answer that question. But man, was last night's game disheartening. It was just hard to watch even. And I can understand why people in the program would give up on Stackhouse for it. You can't go to Alabama and get blown out by almost 70 points.
Yeah.
In a basketball game.
That's not how you keep your job, or in any game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess basketball probably is the easiest one to get blown out by 70. But, like, there was a real question of, are we going to lose to Alabama more in football or basketball this last year? And we lost to Florida not Florida, but Alabama in football by 52 points. And we somehow topped that in basketball. It's just sad and terrible. I don't, like, it's hard to watch, and that's the worst part about it, is you feel bad for these kids that are having to go out there and get beat up all the time, and you wonder how they can be put in that position. Because we're not, like, on paper, we should not lose any game by 70 points.
No one should.
Almost no one should.
There aren't many matchups that would say that makes sense.
If you're playing like a borderline D2 team and you're like a top, like, I think Alabama beats most D2 teams by that many points.
About, yeah.
But we're in the SEC. Like, we are not only a D1 team, we are a Power 5 conference.
And we're 10-12.
Yeah, like we're
not like 0-20 like we were 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Right. Like it's I just don't get it. And I can't blame anybody but coaching. It's not like you as a player don't, like, yeah, you could make more shots and defend better, but you don't get put in a position to lose by 70 without some coaching issues.
Yeah, I think it was no one was having a good night. No one was getting set up well. They were having the best night of their careers, almost all of them. We weren't getting sets to go. Things weren't working.
I think it's a coaching issue.
No, that's not a coaching issue. How you react to that shows whether you're a good coach or bad coach. Shots aren't falling. The sets aren't working. You have to do something to change that. And he didn't, or he did and that didn't work. And that's bad coaching. You can't blame Jerry Stackhouse for Paul Lewis missing 2 shots. They're trying to get this to go and it doesn't work. That's not Jerry Stackhouse's fault.
If it's a good shot, but we weren't taking good shots.
Yeah, because you couldn't get anything to go there. Because their defense was good, right?
I mean, their defense
We're working the ball.
Were we?
We're trying. Working the ball doesn't mean good or bad. Working the ball means moving the ball. We're moving the ball. We're trying these different sets. It's not working. That happens. Every team does that. That's not bad coaching. But you have to change that. That's the coach's job. The coach's job is to say, okay, what you guys are doing isn't working. Let's do this. If that doesn't work, you keep moving on. And for a little bit, it was like, okay, we're trying different things, and none of these are working, and then we didn't call timeouts, and then we just kind of did whatever and floundered. So the times he did try, none of that worked, and then it looked like he stopped trying.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work.
I would argue a couple of different points. One, I think that if your initial sets don't at least work a little bit, that's bad coaching.
I would disagree.
Why?
Because that's not like the first things you try. That's not like, okay, we have some guaranteed buckets in here, No. That's not how basketball works.
But you have good shots. You should be able to get good shots.
Not off the bat of a game. Why? Because why at the tip of a basketball game?
You've spent the entire week game planning. You know what defense they're likely to run, and you should be able to make sets that initially work. It should be a game of chess where you have an initial move that you think is going to work, and even if you don't make the shot, at least getting a good shot is something that I expect from a coach. Now, if they, learn to adjust on that on defense, and then you have to make the next move on offense, yeah, sure. But I think that I think going into a game, you should have an idea and a set ready for their defense.
Yeah. We scored 5 points off the bat.
But they were bad shots. It wasn't good shots. It was like you can make a bad shot off a bad set.
I didn't watch the first 5 points of the ball game. I came in at 5-8.
What happened was we threw the ball around the key a little bit without doing anything, and then Ball Lewis did a step back 3, which was cool. I love Ball Lewis. I call him Ball, not Paul, because man's a dog. And then the other one, okay, I will say the Miles Studi shot was cool. It was like he rolled off a screen and then posted up a different guy. And so that one I'm okay with. But after that, there was no order to the offense. There was no, there was no play.
I could see them throughout the game trying to do stuff. Like, you can tell when you're, really thinking, I don't know, I can... Maybe because I've seen a lot of basketball. I can tell, I can see he's trying to do this, and it's trying to work the defense like this, but it's just not working at all. So he can't get that pass because it's all like this. Mm-hmm. So it forces him to just do whatever. They weren't just running around doing nothing for most of the game. There were parts where it was like, okay, now just go try and score,
Yeah.
They tried to make movements, but nothing worked, so it looks like they just didn't commit to them. Mm-hmm. They would do part of one, and then be like, oh, nope, and then just kind of back out, and I'm like, oh, he just really went back on. He just didn't make that cut he was going to make because it's not working so far. That's odd. I don't know. I don't think you can blame a coach for the first few possessions. I think sometimes that happens.
See, I would argue you can blame the coach for the first few possessions, not the next few, and then the few after that. And then you can't, you get blame start, not the second sets, like the second tier of sets, if you will, but you can for the third.
So you go into a game with the game plan. Number one, the first game plan you go into, here's it, right?
Yep.
You're expecting to do well here because that's what you've prepped for.
And practice.
And then you're going to see if they can adapt to it.
Yes, and so I think you can blame the coach for that.
For this first part?
Yes.
I don't think that. I don't think.
Why? Like, I don't understand.
Like, I get it. I get what you mean. Like, if the sets you drew up at the beginning of the game aren't working, that's like, you should have drawn up better sets.
Right.
You know? I just don't think that's nearly as big of a coaching thing as...
It's not as big, no, but I still think that... I don't think that is as much of a player issue as it is a coach issue.
I think that's just basketball. It goes either way. I've seen some of the greatest teams ever, like, not get... I've seen great coaches go into games, and then what they draw up doesn't work. That doesn't mean you're a bad coach. That just means that's basketball. It happens sometimes. Mark Few, I would say, is a very good in-game play coach.
Sure.
He has started probably a couple hundred games where his first game plan didn't work.
Okay.
I've seen, not Dean Smith, who's the newer guy that retired at UNC. Roy Williams. Roy Williams, one of the best coaches there's been. Mm-hmm. I've seen him go into games with a game plan, and it doesn't work.
That's not what...
Sometimes, you know?
That's still his fault, though.
Yes, but that doesn't mean you're a bad coach.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, whatever. Then there's no point to what we're saying.
No, I'm not saying...
That doesn't make Stack a bad coach. Sure, he's to blame for that little bit. It means nothing.
The collective of that plus everything else makes that a bad coaching job. I'm saying that's a piece of the puzzle.
I think, yeah, it's your fault, but that doesn't show whether you're a good coach or a bad coach. Unless you consistently can never get it to go, that means you're a bad coach. But in an isolated sense, that does not say anything about your ability to coach a game of basketball.
Thankfully, we don't have just one isolated incident. And I would say the most games, we start off with little to no offensive rhythm. And so I think that's a knock on Jerry Stackhouse.
I think it's changed a lot throughout the year. It was all right in the beginning of the year, and then one big questionable move that was made was when we didn't start Ezra, Jordan, and Liam, and that didn't make any sense to me. That was when I saw it start like, okay, now we're not getting things to go in the beginning. Because like every other game that I watched before that, it's like, okay, we're like, you know, a viable offense and an okay team. I don't think there were many times where I'm like, ooh.
I guess we started off SEC play okay. But
like the non-conference, the beginning of...
I would argue that the peak of Vanderbilt basketball so far has been the start of conference play.
Yeah.
Because we lost to Grambling before SEC play.
It happens to the best of us.
It doesn't happen to the best.
What happens to the best of us, it mostly happens to the worst of us.
Yeah, that happens. Like I don't
almost exclusively.
You shouldn't be losing to a quad 4 team in your 4th year. Like that might be a belief I have, I think.
Yeah.
And it was... I don't know if I think Stack is a good or bad coach, but I can definitely point to more things that I think are bad about Jerry Stackhouse's coaching than good things, which is not something that is encouraging for me at year 4.
And he just got extended.
Yeah, but extensions kind of don't matter. We'll just be paying him longer with a different coach. I don't know. It was a bad game. We play maybe like Auburn on Saturday, who they were losing. Ole Miss. Oh, okay. We play Auburn soon though, and we got to get back on track if I'm gonna believe in the future of this basketball program. You know, Ole Miss just took Kentucky to like the wire, so Ole Miss is not a terrible team.
I think they're a tournament team.
Ole Miss?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they're like bottom of the SEC. They're like 1-10 in the SEC.
Are they? I must be thinking of a different school because there are like 8 SEC tournament teams.
There are. Yeah, Ole Miss is 1-8 in the SEC.
Okay, I was thinking of Mississippi State though.
Mississippi State is 2-7 in the SEC.
Really?
Yep, we are.
They're like they're on the bubble to make the tournament.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10. We are 10th in the SEC right now. We are now below Arkansas, which is sad.
Below Arkansas?
Yeah.
Arkansas was an okay team last year.
Oh, yeah, but we beat Arkansas by, like, a lot.
Well, yeah, sure, but...
Right now, the SEC standings are Alabama, number 1, 9-0. Tennessee at number 2, 7-1. Texas A&M number 3, 7-2. Auburn 6-2. Kentucky 6-3. Florida 5-3. Mizzou 4-4. Georgia 4-4. Arkansas 4-5, and Vanderbilt 3-6.
I like to see Kentucky that far down. That's nice. Makes me feel good.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Kentucky.
Yeah. I'd like to think... Actually, I don't. I don't like the SEC all that much. Teams that I will hate on endlessly. Alabama. Since last year, I think, really. And now at this year, I just hate on their program endlessly.
Yeah.
Now that I've been out of the state of Kentucky for a good few years, Kentucky, and especially now that Ray Davis went to Kentucky, I will hate on Kentucky's teams. I don't really like any of the other programs in the SEC, but those two especially, I will always love to see them not do well.
Yeah.
So if Alabama starts losing...
I like a lot of SEC schools.
Well, that's because you are from the South and are an SEC fan.
Well, sure, but I like... what fan are you then? Of what conference are you?
The WCC. I will root for every team in the WCC except BYU, unless they're going against Gonzaga.
So, for all those Santa Clara viewers, you have a fan here.
Santa Clara is awesome, dude.
And
Santa Clara is dope. I love rooting for Santa Clara.
The WCC isn't even a conference in football.
And?
It's like the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest college sport.
I don't care. I don't like football.
Man's crazy.
I don't enjoy football that much.
Man's
that's
like,
okay.
Man's like, my favorite conference, not even Power 5. Wild.
Okay.
Not even like, not Power 5.
Chris, you drink milk.
And? That's not a
We're moving on.
thing.
I know. I just had to say it.
It's not even it's not even a group of 5.
Fun fact: the Commons Dining Hall. If you're a student, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, you're gonna be lost for a second. The Commons Dining Hall has soft serve now, and like everyone was excited, and it's great because they have soft serve. And I'm like, must be nice, you milk drinkers. I'm allergic to dairy, if you didn't know. And I'm like distraught because I'm not distraught. I'm just like, it is what it is. I don't eat ice cream. I don't think about it all that often. It's not that much of a bummer. But I was talking to someone about it, and I'm looking at it because the dining hall posted about it, and it's by this company called Oatly, and I'm like, that makes me think it's made of oats. And so I DM the dining people, and I'm like, yo, is this made out of milk or oats? And they're like, oats, but it's good. And I'm like, good, because I can't eat milk. And so I ate some today, and it is indeed made of oats.
It also says
I can taste its oats. It also says dairy-free, like...
On it, yeah.
Well, no, like they taped up a piece of paper.
I think it's also on the front, though.
I don't look that well. But I also didn't have any reason to go over and look at it before, so you can't blame me for not seeing that. I also pay no attention, so like, did we expect me to see it? No. Disappointing, sure, but expected, no. And it was good. It tasted like oats, and I enjoy the taste of oat milk. I'll say it. I will. I like it.
I don't.
When I drank milk, I didn't like milk. I enjoy oat milk. And so, for that reason, I think I have to declassify myself as a milk hater. I'm just a casual, like, milk opponent. But I'm not a milk hater anymore because I like oat milk, I once said I'm anti-bread, and then Chris is like, well, what about these? And I'm like, some of those I don't classify as bread. Those are specialty things.
Didn't make any sense.
Well, like, some of your things...
was garlic bread. That was one that he didn't
That was one where I'm like, okay,
bread.
that's bread, Okay. You were saying something like cinnamon rolls. That's not bread. That's a dessert.
I mean, I would...
Sure, it's made of bread.
What else is it but bread?
Are you going to say a cake is bread?
That is a factually separate thing.
Sure, it's made of a dough, Chris, like cinnamon rolls are. You can't make cinnamon rolls out of bread. Do you make cinnamon rolls out of bread, Chris? If you can't produce it out of bread...
What do you think that it is? Like a cinnamon roll, do you think it's made with closer to cake batter, or do you think it's closer to a loaf of bread? Whenever you make it.
It's more like a biscuit. The ones that I've had, like recently, that I'm thinking of the ones with what's the fat white thing?
Pillsbury?
Yes. Yeah, Pillsbury. I'm thinking of those. Those are like borderline biscuits, in my opinion. That's why Luke likes them so much, you weirdo. They're like borderline biscuits. That's not bread. A biscuit is not bread. It's a biscuit. It's a little different. Biscuits are also sometimes mad overrated, maybe that's...
Biscuits are sometimes mad overrated. I'll accept that.
I don't like dry things.
I don't know, man. I think that
Except like my lungs.
you bite into a cinnamon roll, and that's definitely just cinnamon bread with icing on it. Like, it's...
I don't know. But, yes, so as I was saying...
Oh, God.
He told me some things, and I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess you're swaying me. Garlic bread, undeniably bread. You make it out of bread, you know?
Bread in the name.
I can't remember any of the other ones, because you said like a croissant, and I'm like, that's not bread.
You eat the Artisanno Sara Lee bread.
That was my next point. You said that, and I'm like, okay, you know, maybe not. And then I ate half a loaf of the good bread that we have. And I'm like, I don't dislike bread anymore. That's growth, you know? I am no longer a bread opponent, but I will forever be a Nate Oates opponent. I think he's a classless individual with a classless program, and he's a fraud, and I don't get the things they say about him. They said yesterday, they're like, Nate Oates, like, just the biggest analyst you'll ever see. He's like, we're talking to him, and you got the clipboard and stuff, just looking at it all the time.
I think I should have
and like really looking into that. And I'm like, last year, after they won the first game of the SEC tournament, they're like, you're gonna play Vandy next week or next game. How do you think about that? And he didn't seem to know anything about us. And he was saying things that I'm like, okay, one, I think that's just incorrect. And two, I don't think you know what you're talking about. And then we went and beat him the next day.
We did.
I don't think that shows that you're a good analyst. I think they're just wrong. I think he's not a great coach. I think the reason they won last night is because we were playing badly, we were coached badly, and they were playing the best games of their lives. I did not watch that basketball game thinking, wow, this is a well-coached, well-executing team. It's just, these guys are pulling up from 27 feet, and they're making every shot they take. They're making good little passes and stuff. I didn't see, maybe because I wasn't paying that much attention to their offense, I didn't see like a ton of very successful sets. I just saw a bunch of like really impressive basketball players.
The thing is I think that, you know, I don't think I saw necessarily offensive sets that I was like particularly shocked and like, oh wow, that was great coaching. But man, he can coach their defense.
Yeah, they do defend really well.
Alabama.
They know. That's why none of our sets worked, is they would just know how to stop them.
And Alabama is, I mean, they have some of the best athletes in college basketball.
Yeah, have you seen those dudes?
It's like old Kentucky. And so what happened is when you're not shooting well against Alabama, they'll just beat you in transition every single time. Like I can in the first half, they probably had 5 half-court sets because of the fact that we would just brick a shot that was a bad 3, and then they'd be out running and dunk it on us.
Transition basketball is my favorite thing about basketball.
Oh yeah, it's great.
As a Gonzaga fan, it is so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
Even if it's against me and we're losing, and I see a nice little transition play, I'm like, this is good stuff.
Yeah,
I'm an enjoyer.
And that was all last night was. It was like 90% transition basketball. And so it was rough. It was bad. And when you have better athletes in transition basketball, you're likely to get good shots.
That is how it works.
They have a dude that they compared to Paul George. His name's like something Miller.
I don't like when they make comparisons like that. Like they pull up their stats, and it's like statistically he's doing better than Paul George did as a freshman.
Yeah. That
means nothing.
No,
and that was like what they're predicating it off of. They found like the 3 plays where it looked the same in film, where it's like, look, Paul George did this guy did this, that's our comparison.
I think they do kind of have similar skill sets.
Well, they kind of played the game well, but like,
he's a good player.
You can't say what you're saying about him, you know? They're like, oh, he plays like Paul George. Yes, he does.
He's like 6'8", 220 with.
But he's also
skills.
like, you know, a freshman in college.
True.
So you can't call him like, oh, he's the next Paul George. He's gonna be good, and that's what it felt like they were doing.
He's probably gonna be like a top 5 pick in the draft. That's what they said on the broadcast.
Interesting. I haven't looked into the draft this year because Gonzaga has nobody that's going this year.
They're terrible. No, I'm just kidding.
Just nobody's going. I think Drew's.
Do you not think Julian's not gonna go?
Not with the season we're having and he's having. I mean,
I put up like 40.
Yeah, but he puts up like 15 a game, and that's
a good amount in college.
Yeah, but like that's not what anybody thought he would do.
He's not like Jalen Suggs, but like.
Well, Jalen Suggs didn't have really impressive numbers.
Even. But he was like a great defender.
He's had a skill set that's like unparalleled.
He played well against the Lakers.
Yeah, he does okay in the league.
Yeah.
As like a kid, you know.
Good for him.
I'm proud of him. But Yeah, anyways. That kid is going places. I think, and I hope he's cool. He seems nice. Unless he's, well, I don't know, because here's where we're going to get into it, okay?
Like you and me?
No, me. So, the first thing that I noticed that I'm like, ooh, I don't like you guys, that I can think of recently, is when we were playing at Memorial against Alabama, and it was close, then it ran away, and it was close, then it ran away. Game's about over, we're losing by a bit. And then, to end the game, they dunked it at our home court when they beat us by 15?
Yeah.
You don't do that in basketball. You don't do that in your home court. When you're beating a team like that, especially at their home court, you don't dunk the basketball when nobody's there to end the game. That's not right. You know what I mean? That's not classy. That's not how you play basketball like that. And I'm like, I mean, that is what it is. People do that, you know?
Yeah, whatever.
They're like 20, 22. I'd do it. But that's because I'm a classless individual. It is what it is. I just kind of am questionable at that one person. When you're beating a team in the second half by 30 or more points, I am of the belief that you should not play any of your starters. You should not be throwing up highlight reel stuff in the last 7 minutes of a game when you're up 40 points. I've watched a lot of Gonzaga basketball my day. They're a very good team. They play some really, really not good teams.
Yeah.
And over the past 5, 6, 7 years, there have been quite a few games where we've been in Portland or somewhere and we're up 40 points with 10 to go, and you won't see any of our starters play the rest of the game. It'll be our bench warmers and then our second set and the walk-ons and stuff, because that's classy basketball. If you're beating a team, you don't absolutely demoralize them.
Yeah.
Whether you're there or at home, you don't do that. Their starters played as if it was a competitive ball game where their starters needed to play. They ended the game with their starters in. One, even if you don't believe in
resting,
doing that, you're supposed to take out your guys with a little bit left in a big win so they can walk to the bench and the crowd goes crazy for them. They didn't even do that for them. They had their starters in to the buzzer, which I think is I don't know, give the kid, let the kid go out after his big game and everyone's cheering. That's just what you're supposed to do, I think. Yeah. You know, I've seen at Gonzaga, we play some weak people, so I've seen them do that, you know?
Yeah.
You don't keep your guys in like that. You don't, they're hitting, how many threes? 19?
19.
That's pretty solid, you know? But when they're dunking the ball with 3 minutes left like that, there was one play in particular, dude goes in the lane, dunks the ball. He's running off. He turns around. We're just inbounding the ball. He intercepts the inbound in a 45-point ball game and dunks the ball right there. What? By what? Why?
Yeah.
Why do you do that with 3 minutes left in a game that you guys are going to win by 50 to 60 points? You don't do that to a team.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't do that, you know?
There was a lot.
There's supposed to be efforts made to let the other team save face, you know? Mm-hmm. You're supposed to go into basketball thinking, yeah, we're going to crush them, we're going to beat them by 20, we're going to kill them, you know? But then when you go up 30 with 10 left, you pump the brakes a little. Because that's, you know, it's not a game of beating people by 60 and throwing up highlight plays.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of respect and honor in that sport. After one game this year, Gonzaga beat a team by 73 points. None of our starters played with 15 minutes to go in the second half. It was we had three walk-ons playing for most of the second half, and we were still killing them. So Mark Few goes up, and he's talking to the coach. He's like, I'm sorry. I really tried. I tried. And you can tell, through the podcast, I'm like, dang, he's telling me he tried. That, because that's what you're supposed, that's classy basketball. Right. That's what you're supposed to do. And I think that's a coaching thing. I think that's a program thing. I think as a department, their athletic department, I think that's just classless at Alabama. I think NATO is classless. I think the players, for the majority, are classless. And I
think players follow the coach.
Yes, you can't blame some of them.
Yeah.
Because they're just
they're just playing basketball.
I dunked the basketball, you know.
They're having a great time.
I have no sense of honor or respect. I don't respect anything. But when your coach doesn't say anything, you know what I mean? I like to think that Gonzaga is a program and Vanderbilt's a program built off of, like, respect, you know?
Yeah.
We're, you know, they are athletes. They're all athletes. They respect each other. They know they go out there and grind every day. So you don't beat them by 70 and dunk in their face. Even if it's, you know, a home game and you just lost by 24 and you really want to get back, you just don't do that. Mm-hmm. And I really hate Alabama for that reason. And I will never like them unless they get a class act coach that is the exact opposite of Nate Oates. Yeah, I dislike him to the point that if Vanderbilt or Gonzaga ever, like, hired him, I would stop liking the program.
Really?
I would not root for Gonzaga if Nate Oates was their head coach.
That's crazy.
I hate him. I think he's a classless individual, and if Gonzaga hired him, I would question their athletic department. I'd be like, this is not what I've seen Gonzaga, like, promoting throughout the years. Sure, Mark Few got a DUI, and that was crazy, but, like, we kicked the kid off the team, like, in 2004 for, like, something, like, it was some drug thing where, like, it wasn't, like, criminal, and he didn't get in trouble with the school even, but as a program, they're like, you can't be doing the things that we even think you're doing. You're out of the program, you know?
Wow.
Because it's, you know, it tries to build people of character and stuff like that. And I think you can see that in the types of people that play at Gonzaga and that play at Vanderbilt, because I think Vanderbilt does a good job. I just say Gonzaga because, like, we used to know the people, so we know that they're nice guys. These people at Vanderbilt, some of them we know are nice guys. The rest of them just seem like they're nice.
Yeah.
Miles Studi got a little bit of the villain thing going on, but he seems like a genuinely nice dude, you know?
Yeah. He seems like a guy you'd, like, enjoy talking to.
Exactly. He seems like he'd be a nice guy. And I don't see that in Alabama in any facet.
No.
So that's just what I had to say for the last 15 minutes.
Well, I think that's a good time to transition to baseball.
Ball.
So the actual
but with
time,
bases.
The time that we're actually going to win considerably. And,
I sure hope so.
Yeah. Baseball starts in, like, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tomorrow. And
So it's on Thursday?
Yeah. We have a Thursday. Yeah. I think. I don't know. I'll look at it later. It either starts 2 weeks from tomorrow or 2 weeks from Friday.
Do you know what day it is?
I think it's the 17th, so I think it is 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Interesting.
And we go to Austin, Texas to play in a series versus...
You know tomorrow's the 2nd?
Tomorrow's the 2nd?
Yeah.
I thought tomorrow's the 3rd.
Nope. It's the 1st of February.
So it's
the 1st of the month.
It is 2 weeks from Friday.
Cardi.
It's the 1st of the month.
Anthony,
we're gonna get DMCA'd for that.
I wish Playboy Cardi would sue me.
I
really sincerely hope.
No, we just get a YouTube strike. It'd be rough.
Man, I wish he'd take it personally.
Yeah,
that'd be cool,
like,
man.
Take it to court.
I wish he would, man.
It's 2 weeks from Friday. We have a series against Texas, TCU, and Oklahoma State. The only team that isn't ranked in the top 15 is Texas, which is weird because Texas is always good.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a really, really fun series. We're going to get a lot of questions answered about how this lineup is going to work.
I got so many questions.
What Corbs thinks about certain players.
I need to know.
Yeah, like there was
curious.
Our beat writer. Her name is Arya Gerson, right?
Yep.
And she put out a lot of she's the beat writer. Yeah. She put out a lot of polls the other day, and it was
Forget
like
Metro Boomin.
It was like, who do you think is going to play where, right? And so the majority of the voters believe that Diaz will start at shortstop. They think Parker Nolan will play more at first than third. They think like multiple freshmen will get a bunch of plate appearances. Let me look at it more. But it was like, when I think about our freshmen and getting plate appearances, the only two freshmen that I'm like really excited about are RJ Austin and Andrew DeCanch. One of them is not going to hit. And so like I personally only guessed one.
What other big name freshmen do we have?
I don't know. Like that's the thing. Like we don't have another not top 50 recruit, and then everybody got stolen by the draft. And so, which is cool. But with that being said, where are these polls?
Where the polls?
Where the polls at? She tweeted a lot about last night's game. Okay. So, Vanderbilt baseball poll. Who gets the most starts at shortstop is Diaz. Park Nolan has the most starts at first base. I said third. Which of these players has the most plate appearances between Calvin Hewitt, TJ McKenzie, or Matthew Polk?
That's a really good poll.
I think Calvin Hewitt easily.
I think so as well, but those are some interesting thoughts.
I think, actually, I would imagine... The only reason I say Calvin Hewitt, I think TJ McKenzie will start as our DH, but I do think that Hewitt is going to be our left fielder the entire time, so he'll have all the plate appearances where TJ McKenzie might
we'll pop in some other DHs. We're not going to pop in a left fielder.
Yeah, probably. Who pitches more innings between Patrick Riley and Sam Leboke?
Ooh.
I said Pat Riley.
I said Riley. I would say Riley.
Between Arlington and the SEC opening series against Ole Miss, how many weekend starters will be the same? Between 0 through all three. And so a lot of people said 2 because I think they think that Futrell will stay at the number 2 as well. Like Carter Holton, the only 4% said 0 because I think that that's fair. I think that there's not a chance that Carter Holton doesn't stay a starter from the start all the way through unless he gets hurt, which of course we hope that doesn't happen.
Inshallah.
But I kind of don't believe in Devin Futrell.
I do.
I
don't believe in him right now.
I think he played pretty badly for most of last season when he was not in a midweek role, except for when we got to the playoffs. He played really well in the last series versus Arkansas and in the SEC tournament and in the NCAA tournament. But other than that, he didn't play well on weekends.
Yeah, when we tried to plug him up there, he didn't do what we wanted. But I think he's a freshman, you know. He's at all summer. He did well at the end of last year. Mm-hmm. I say it's definitely worth a shot, and I would assume he's going to do better than those weird times that he did poorly.
He's going to start as our Saturday starter, I would imagine. The issue that I have with Futrell is he doesn't have a lot of movement in his pitches. It's like he is a speed differential pitcher where he can throw it. He only throws 90 if we're basing it off last year's, but his changeup is 75. It's it's not a changeup that moves and is slow. It's a changeup that's just slow, and so
leisurely.
I don't know. It makes me worry about SEC play because we have some great hitters in the SEC. It's truly this year based off projected rankings. It's insane how stacked the SEC is in college baseball. We have Baseball America, D1 Baseball, who, the numbers that you see on TV, it's those rankings. They have Vanderbilt at number 10 to start, and there are 5 SEC teams ahead of Vanderbilt. We are the 6th in the SEC and 10th overall, which is crazy. Above us is Arkansas, Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU. LSU number 1.
What?
Yeah.
Man, I hate LSU.
I think it goes LSU. Tennessee's at number 2. Ole Miss, I don't remember. I think Arkansas is 5. Who else am I missing? I don't think it might be Mississippi State as well.
That makes sense.
But
they just win a championship.
They are insane. Ole Miss won last year, and the Mississippi State won the year before.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, Mississippi going crazy.
Mississippi's going wild.
Buck wild, but one of the bottom 3 states in the country.
I think that I've said this for 2 seasons now, but if Pat Riley can ever find his control and get command of the zone, he is a stud. And he could be, in my opinion, I think if he had command, he could be better than Carter Holton. And so I think my optimal weekend lineup, if everything goes perfectly, is Holton, Riley, Dutkanch. Because I think man is crazy. And I think he will be similar to what Carter Holton was last year. And I think having Futrell as the 4th is not bad. And we have a bevy of pitchers. We have, in my opinion, the best pitching staff in the nation. And so hopefully that will help our potentially lackluster batting. So with that being said, the next poll was who pitches the most innings between Ryan Ginther, Grayson Moore, or Grayson Carter?
Ginther.
Yeah. You remember Ryan Ginther?
I do remember Ginther.
I said Grayson Moore, and I was actually agreed with. But this was one that was close between Grayson Moore and Ryan Ginther. Ryan Ginther I didn't know who he was until he came into the game versus Oregon State in the Corvallis Regional.
Corvallis? Where's Corvallis?
Oregon.
Is that where Oregon State is? I'm from the West Coast, and I don't know that. Corvallis? That's a horrible name.
It's the Corvallis Regional.
Well, that's so weird. I remember it was that, but like,
That's
it was
where
in Oregon.
State is. Yeah,
That's disappointing for the PNW.
It's Eugene for Oregon, and then Corvallis for Oregon State.
I wonder where that is in the state. It must be like borderline Idaho, because that sucks.
Let me look it up.
I need to know, because that's so disappointing. I don't even know what you were going to say to continue talking, but baseball, you throw the ball and you hit it. I'm excited to go to the games and catch some balls. I also am excited to catch the home run hits. Things of the sort, you know?
No, it's on the coast.
It's on the coast? Dang it. That's insane. That really brings down the Pacific Ocean stock. For real.
Crazy. So
the Pacific may not be the best ocean anymore.
But so Ryan Ginther came in the Corvallis Regional versus Oregon State's best hitter. Man, I don't remember what his name is, but man was going nuts. And he struck him out as a guy I've never seen before. Only time I saw him.
Didn't he like die? Or not die, but like he got injured like
Ryan
after
Ginther?
That was Ryan?
Yeah, that was Ryan Ginther.
Okay.
And then Grayson Moore.
Oh, no, never mind. Who was the dude that like pitched less than 1 inning in a regular season game and then like hurt his arm and then left, and we're like, wow, he's doing well. But he pitched like probably 8 pitches.
Is that the game that we were at?
Yeah. Was that Leboki?
Maybe.
I remember being like, that was nice. Oh. Never mind.
Yeah, and then he got taken out. It was rough. I think it might have been. I think it was Leboki.
That makes sense. Keep going.
Grayson Moore played really well last year, actually. So I'm excited to have him in our bullpen. And then Grayson Carter got a lot of work this fall because he throws the ball like Christian Little does. Man throws it like 103, but it could be anywhere. He is the worst pitcher to face because you don't know where the ball is going, and he doesn't either. But if he can refine that a little bit and get it to like a Luke Murphy, the Law kind of bullpen player, he could be. He could be
that's exactly what I want out of a bullpen guy.
Yeah,
like 100.
So then, which of this group makes the most starts? This was in my opinion the best question. Hunter Owen, Patrick Riley, Sam Leboki, Bryce Cunningham.
That's a really good. Not Bryce. Not Sam.
That was who I got Bryce out first, and Bryce was 1 point off winning.
Bryce?
Yeah.
Oh. So who are the other two options?
You clear out Sam Leboki as well?
Yep.
Hunter Owen and Patrick Riley.
Oh, hold on. Leboki may be the other guy, but I think it's Riley.
Riley won.
Yeah.
I guessed Hunter Owen.
Hunter Owen could be up there.
Because Hunter Owen was who we started on our Sundays last year before he got hurt.
Yeah.
And I would have to imagine he's given a very similar role. And I honestly, I would imagine that our final 3 pitchers, I want Riley because I think he has the most potential, but what I think realistically is going to happen is it's going to be Holton, Futrell, DeCanch by the end of the year.
I would love that.
And I think that that's really great for the program. But I think Hunter Owen probably gets... I think DeCanch starts in the midweek role.
Yes.
Which we'll get to in a second. But I think that he will eventually move to the Sunday starter.
You better.
How many freshmen get 50-plus plate appearances in 2022? 2 did, Davis Diaz and Jonathan Van Steen. I said 1. There's 2, 3, 4 plus. I don't know who would get it other than RJ. Maybe Chris Maldonado.
Maybe.
But I don't think so.
Where does the name Maldonado come from? In my mind, that seems Greek.
It's Italian.
Really?
I think.
Nice.
I'm not sure.
That makes sense.
They're from New Jersey, so yeah, probably.
That's Italy.
And then the last one was Andrew DeCanch makes the most starts on Saturday game 2, Sunday game 3, midweeks. It doesn't make any starts.
That'd be weird.
Yeah, I said midweeks because they'll put him there like they did Futrell for the first 8 games and then move him there. I'm really excited about baseball season. We're going to have the Barstool guy on, David, in a couple weeks or maybe next week, and we'll talk about, full predictions of series and kind of break it down like we did at the start of season 3.
Break it down.
Which season was it? But I think that's all we're going to do for baseball for now, and I know that this episode's getting a little long. It's Hoodie Willem. So do we have anything else before?
Nope.
Yeah.
Slam it.
So I think we're gonna wrap up here. But with that being said, this has been Show Em The Dore, all the way from the Curb Center Studios, and we will see y'all next week. Bye, guys.